Greetings, Eric. Mommy, you're back. Hooray! Where is Daddy? Eric felt uneasy with this inquiry. He glanced downward and replied, I don't know. What's happening, love? You're keeping secrets with Mommy. Eric did not respond, but he continued to anxiously stare at the floor. I sensed that something was amiss. I called my husband, David, and asked, "Where are you?" I came for a vacation with our son. I hung up the call, and we promptly packed our bags and left the house. Hello, my name is Caroline, and I am 40 years old. I am married to David, who is 42 years old. We have been married for the past decade. David and I used to work together in the same office, which is how we became acquainted. We fell in love and decided to get married. We were a contented couple. 2 years after our marriage, we welcomed our son, Eric, into the world, and our family felt complete. Eric is now 8 years old. Shortly after our wedding, David received a better job opportunity from another company, prompting him to switch employers. I continued working at the same company and have since obtained a senior position. As part of my job, I have to travel for several days each month on business trips. When Eric was 3 years old, I was offered a promotion at work, but it required me to travel for business purposes for a few days each month. I had reservations about accepting the offer since Eric was too young to be left alone. However, David reassured me, saying, "Don't worry, honey. I'll take care of Eric. Are you sure he'll be okay? He's still quite small." "Absolutely. He's my son too. And besides, it's only for a few days," David replied confidently. "Okay, I will accept the promotion." David always showed support for my work. He used to take care of Eric while I was away on these trips, and I was very grateful to him for being so caring and supportive. Our life was going smoothly until one day my father-in-law called. "Hey David, I was thinking of stepping down from the business so that I'd no longer have to deal with the stress of it," he said. "Is everything all right, Dad?" David asked. "Yeah, everything's fine. It's just that I'm getting older, and I think it's time for you to take over the business," my father-in-law replied. David responded politely, "Dad, I've worked hard to establish my own identity. Now you want me to leave everything and join your business." "David, you knew this day would come. I've let you do whatever you wanted until now. But this is something you should do for the family," my father-in-law insisted. "Dad, you can't force me," David said. "I'm not forcing you. Just think about it. How long will you continue working at your current job? The business will give you the flexibility to enjoy the later part of your life," my father-in-law reasoned. "But Dad," David started to protest. "You are my only heir. If you refuse to run the company, then I'll have to sell it off because I can't manage it anymore," my father-in-law revealed. "I didn't mean that," David said, realizing the weight of his father's words. "Okay, then why not take a month to wrap up your work at your current job and join the business?" my father-in-law suggested. "But Dad, you've been running the business so efficiently for so many years. I'm afraid I won't be able to manage it as well," David expressed his concerns. "You would learn as you go. I didn't know anything about business until I started doing it on my own," my father-in-law reassured him. "Okay, Dad. I'll give notice to my company and wrap up my work there," David agreed, although he was happy with his current job. He knew that he would have to embrace this new opportunity and face the challenges that came with it. At some point, he would need to assume control of the family enterprise. He had prepared himself for this, but he didn't anticipate it happening so soon. Shortly after David joined the family business, I noticed a gradual shift in his demeanor. He began coming home late, spending evenings alone on his phone, and frequently being away on weekends. This went on for several months. Eventually, I reached a breaking point and decided to address the issue. "David, is everything all right with you?" I asked. "Yes, what's the matter?" he replied. "I've noticed a change in your behavior over the past few months," I expressed my concern. "What change?" I have no idea what you're talking about, he retorted. I wanted to have an open conversation with him to resolve the situation, but he simply brushed it off as if nothing was wrong. His dismissiveness infuriated me. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You come home late almost every day, and when you are home early, you're engrossed in your phone instead of spending time with me or Eric, I confronted him. In a stern voice, David responded, "This is happening because I'm busy. I no longer work for a company where I can wrap up my tasks at 7 p.m. It's my own business now, and I have to dedicate time to it even after coming home. I have to coordinate with other departments over the phone." "What about the weekends?" I inquired. "Yes, sometimes we have work on weekends too," he admitted. I didn't know how to respond, so I left the room to collect myself. Although David's reasons were valid, I still wasn't fully convinced. I could sense a growing distance between us, which was disheartening. "David, I have decided to inform you that I have chosen to grant you the benefit of uncertainty and allow you some time to acclimate to the business. Additionally, I acknowledge that you have been a compassionate father to Eric and have taken care of him while I have been away on business trips. You have taken the initiative to spend quality time with Eric during these trips. Over the course of 2 years, David, your business responsibilities have increased, and there have been occasions where you have not returned home at all. Despite living under the same roof, our communication has significantly decreased. I have often contemplated whether my work has contributed to this growing distance between us. At times, I have felt incredibly lonely as I have had no one to confide in. My parents, who are in their late 70s, are not in a position to handle additional stress. Furthermore, due to my family and work commitments, I have lost touch with most of my friends. Your presence in my life has become almost inconsequential. My only solace lies in our son, Eric. Although he is too young to comprehend the complexities of my struggles, spending time with him brings me joy and relief. However, I have recently noticed that Eric's attention has been diverted. His academic performance has suffered, evident in his declining grades on monthly assessments. He has also been excessively engrossed in video games. You have been excessively indulgent towards Eric, showering him with various video games, automated toy cars, and other unnecessary items. When you brought yet another expensive video game for him, I expressed my hesitation. David, Eric already possesses an abundance of video games and toys. This new addition is superfluous. I simply meant that we should reconsider the necessity of further gifts for our son. The falling has been occurring, and he is excessively preoccupied these days. He's always engaged in video games, which is detrimental to his cognitive development. He is my son. He would find his own path. You don't need to be concerned about him. Well, he is my son as well. I need to ensure that he is raised to be an educated and responsible individual. Are you attempting to mock me, suggesting that I am an irresponsible individual? I have been taking care of Eric since he was 3 years old when you left him at home for your business trips. I was taken aback by his words. It was he who volunteered to take care of Eric. Besides, he is the father of Eric, so he also bears the responsibility. Wasn't it you who asked me to accept the promotion, and you volunteered to take care of Eric? Yes, it was me. You should be thankful to me for supporting you, but all you do is complain. I have always been grateful to you for supporting me. That's the reason why I'm still with you in this house, despite your cold demeanor towards me. Saying this, I broke down. Oh, please don't attempt to portray yourself as the victim in front of me. I lost my patience and shouted at him, "You know what? I'm done with you. I no longer feel any affection or gratitude towards you. Whatever you have done in taking care of Eric, it was your parental duty. I don't owe you anything for this." David too yelled back at me. He was such an ungrateful woman. Women like you could never find happiness, nor keep their spouses happy. David had never raised his voice at me like this, even if we were not speaking. He had never been unkind to me before, but now he had changed. These words pierced my heart like a sharp knife, and I cried out in pain. I locked myself in the bathroom and wept uncontrollably. Eric overheard the argument between David and me. He saw me locking myself in the bathroom, and when I didn't come out for a long time, he began knocking on the door. "Mommy, come out," I heard him crying outside the bathroom. I washed my face, emerged from the bathroom, and embraced him. "Mommy, I was scared when you locked yourself in there for so long," he said. "I'm sorry, honey. I was just taking a bath," I replied. "But your hair is still dry," he pointed out. We both laughed, and I playfully pinched his cheeks. "Aren't you clever for your age? Would you like some spaghetti for dinner?" I asked. Eric's face lit up with excitement. "Spaghetti," he exclaimed. Seeing his smile, all of my pain seemed to fade away. Meanwhile, David had been lying on the couch, absorbed in his phone. I prepared dinner for Eric and put him to bed. I had a flight for a business trip the next morning, so I packed my bags and left a note with my travel details on David's desk. Ever since our relationship had become strained, I would leave a note with my travel details on David's desk, ensuring that he would be available for Eric or take him to my in-laws' house. The following morning, I departed for my scheduled trip. However, the recent conflicts with David continued to haunt me, making it difficult to focus on my work. Although it was supposed to be a 3-day trip, on the second day, I started feeling feverish and weak. Therefore, I made the decision to cut my trip short. I contacted my supervisor and informed him that I was feeling unwell. He coordinated with the travel department and arranged for my return flight on the same day. When I arrived home, hoping to spend quality time with my son, I discovered that the front door was locked and the lights were off. Using the spare key, I unlocked the door and entered the house. The living room was dark, so I turned on the lights and went upstairs to find Eric in his room, playing video games on his bed. "Hey Eric, my dear, what are you doing here? And why are all the lights in the house turned off?" I asked. Excited to see me, Eric ran towards me and exclaimed, "Mommy, you're back. Yay, where's Daddy?" However, Eric became uncomfortable with my question. He looked down and replied, I don't know." Confused, I asked, "When did he leave the house?" "I don't know, Mommy. Dad asked me not to tell you anything," Eric replied, still looking down at the floor anxiously. Concerned, I pressed further. "What do you mean, honey? What's going on? Are you hiding something from Mommy?" Eric remained silent, but his anxious demeanor made it clear that something was wrong. I decided to call my husband, David, to find out his whereabouts. "David, where are you?" "I came back from vacation with our son," I said over the phone. To my shock, David was lying. This was the final straw. The phone was on speaker, and Eric heard everything. I abruptly ended the call, staring at him, and he started sobbing. Afterwards, Eric confided in me, revealing the horrifying truth. "Mommy, whenever you went on a trip, Daddy would leave me alone in the house," he said between sobs. I was speechless. I held Eric on my lap and comforted him, knowing that we had a long road ahead of us to heal from this betrayal. In the past, I embraced him lovingly since when my father is departing, you are left alone. When I was young, my father took care of me. He never left me alone. But now he confines me within the house, stores food in the refrigerator for me to consume, and provided video games for me to enjoy. When does your paternal figure arrive? My father arrives late at night and once again departs in the morning. I could hardly believe the difficult situation my young son was experiencing while I was absent. I also hold myself accountable for leaving him under David's control. "Darling, why didn't you inform me initially?" Dad used to leave me for a few hours, but he brought plenty of chocolates and toys for me. But now he is away for the entire day and asked me to promise not to disclose anything to you. I couldn't bear to see him cry like this. "All right, calm down now. Mommy is here. I apologize. Mommy bought me the latest video games. I kept my promise and didn't reveal anything to you." I'm sorry, baby, that you had to endure so much. I couldn't believe what I heard. What kind of father would behave like that? David was rewarding Eric for concealing this secret. I felt repulsed. I could no longer remain in that house or allow my child to witness that terrible man. We promptly packed our belongings and departed the residence. I hired a detective agency to investigate David. After dropping off Eric at my aunt's place, I visited David's parents and recounted the entire incident. My mother-in-law could not fathom that David could engage in such actions. Caroline, please don't misunderstand me. Perhaps there could be some miscommunication. It is not advisable to make such a significant decision regarding the matter at hand. Eric's statements indicate that he is a young child. What do you imply? I comprehend the situation you are experiencing. However, you can once communicate with David if... There is another aspect of the narrative. Although her intention was not negative, she was merely advising me to engage in a confrontation with David before making any decision. However, in that moment, I was too enraged to understand her intention. Do you believe that Eric is fabricating all of these claims? If David was not at fault, why did he deceive me by saying he was on vacation with Eric? Well, he may have been preoccupied with work. I lost my composure and revealed everything to them. This is not the sole incident. Your son has been ignoring me since he joined the family business. He arrives home late, barely spends time with Eric, and spends his weekends away from home. Are you insinuating that all of this is happening because David joined his family's business? My father-in-law interrupted. Brianna, stop. Caroline is correct. I never anticipated that David would turn out like this after he joined the business. A few of my senior employees hinted at David's growing closeness with his assistant. What? Why didn't you inform me about this? I dismissed it as workplace gossip. People tend to enjoy spreading rumors at work. I believed that David was too mature to engage in an affair. He loved you and Eric so much. I should have taken it seriously. I regret it now. Please forgive me, Caroline. I sat there in silence. I didn't say anything. Brianna was shocked as well. They both were devastated. David had shattered the trust and respect that everyone had for him. An individual with a well-regarded reputation as an exemplary son, husband, and father has managed to disappoint everyone. I did not harbor any anger towards my father-in-law, as I too never suspected David of engaging in an extramarital affair, despite our relationship becoming colder. I believed that our love had diminished due to our demanding work schedules. Naively, I thought that once our son Eric grew older, David and I would be able to enjoy our retirement days together in happiness, free from parental responsibilities and work commitments. After leaving my in-laws' house, I began receiving calls from David, presumably prompted by my in-laws confronting him. I chose to ignore his calls and blocked his number. I temporarily moved in with my aunt while searching for a new home. Within a few days, the investigative agency sent me reports confirming the truth. David was indeed having an affair with his assistant, Lily. He would skip work and spend entire days at her place whenever I was away on trips. In response, I hired a lawyer and sent divorce papers along with photographic evidence obtained from the agency. Lily, a single mother to a 5-year-old girl, had previously been divorced by her ex-husband on grounds of infidelity during her pregnancy. When applying for her job, Lily played the victim card, falsely claiming that she had divorced her husband due to his unfaithfulness while she was pregnant. Witnessing Lily's struggles as a single mother, my father-in-law offered her a job, despite her limited qualifications. She deceived her colleagues at the office, fabricating stories to gain sympathy and support. The woman expressed empathy, stating that she believed the same narrative had been shared with David. However, the true nature of the woman was exposed by the investigative agency. The agency obtained information about her former husband as well. Lily had been divorced by her ex-husband without receiving any financial support or child maintenance. This was because her husband claimed that the child was not his, a claim which was supported by a DNA test. All of these details were sent to David through the woman's lawyer. The lawyer informed her that David was devastated upon learning these details and decided to end their relationship. He accused Lily of breaking into their house. David was not willing to divorce the woman as he loved Eric and did not want to lose him. He told the lawyer that he had been influenced by Lily. Lily pleaded for a second chance and admitted that it was her idea to lock Eric at home due to her daughter being alone when Lily went to work. The woman considered giving David another chance if it was only her involved, but now the safety and upbringing of her child were at stake. She couldn't raise Eric with a father who bribed his son to lie. After enduring so much suffering, she was determined to get a divorce. This was not a decision made hastily, as David had been unfaithful for many years. Despite never doubting his loyalty before, the woman could never forgive him for betraying her trust. She refused any settlement other than a divorce. Her father-in-law apologized for David's mistakes and stood by her side throughout this ordeal. The affair and divorce became common knowledge at the office, leading to gossip. This shame was too much for her father-in-law, causing him to abruptly stop speaking. David and Lily were removed from the company. He then took control of the company once again for a few years before selling it to another entrepreneur for a substantial sum. He decided to exclude David from his will and instead left his inheritance to Eric. David's parents disowned him due to a breach of trust. David relocated to the opposite side of the city as he was looked down upon by his neighbors for having an affair with his assistant. In the meantime, I requested a transfer to a different department that eliminated the need for travel. This allows me to efficiently manage both my household and work responsibilities. I have hired a full-time nanny to care for Eric. I plan to resign from my job in the coming years as I have saved enough for retirement. I want to fully enjoy life with my son. My aspiration is for Eric to grow up to be a well-educated and responsible individual.